What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the CaliKidOfficial Podcast. This is episode number 38, so let's get right into it. So this past weekend, we got the much anticipated bout between Vasiliy Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. It was for the lightweight unification title at 135 pounds. Coming in, Vasiliy was 14-2 with 10 knockouts, and Teofimo was 16-0 with 12 KOs. Teofimo ended up winning this bout. For me personally, I always thought that Loma was a bit overrated, and this bout pretty much proved it. You know, there was a lot of excuses made after the loss. He was saying that his shoulder was injured, and then you got people talking about the age difference. But this fight is very reminiscent of the Mayweather-Canelo bout, but instead of it being the veteran winning, it was the younger, young lion ended up winning this bout. So the judges scored it 116, 112, 119, 109, and 117, 113. For pretty much most of the fight, Loma was not really doing much, and then he started to try to turn it on towards the end, but by that time it was too late. Teofimo had already done his damage. He landed more power shots. Vasiliy was more accurate in his punches, but those power shots landed by Lopez ultimately got the win, and now he's the unified champion at lightweight. And I'm thinking the next fight is probably going to either be with Devin Haney. They talked about fighting, or possibly Gervonta after his bout with Leo Santa Cruz, but who knows how that's going to go. But once again, you have a situation where excuses is made after the fighter that people wanted to win doesn't win. And for a long time, they had him pegged as a pound for pound, which I never understood because he hadn't fought anyone. And then he got a good test, and for most of the fight, he became aware of Lopez's power, and he was kind of hesitant in a sense. But it is what it is as far as that fight. But moving on from that fight into UFC 254, we get the highly anticipated fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje for the lightweight title. I don't know who's going to win this bout. Khabib most likely is going to win. He's been very dominant in the UFC thus far. Justin is coming off of his win over Ferguson. And Justin been talking himself up, saying that he's going to do some damage on Khabib, but we just have to see how that one plays out. And then the other main event, we're going to have Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier in the middleweight bout. This should be interesting. I don't know too much about Jared. I've seen Whittaker fight. He's a pretty impressive fighter, so ain't no telling how this one could go. Jared could ended up pulling off the upset because in the last UFC card, I had picked what is his name? The guy that John Jones last fought, Reyes. I had picked him to win, and he got destroyed by that Polish fighter. So there was that. So ain't no telling who's going to win this, but it should be interesting. This is set to go down Saturday, in Abu Dhabi at Fight Island. So that should be a pretty interesting card. We'll just have to see what happens, with that. But moving on from that into music. So T.I. released a new album called the L.I.B.R.A, which stands for Legend is Back Running Atlanta. Very feature heavy. We get features from Miss Pat, which is like a comedian, Tokyo Jets, Young Thug, Little Baby, 42 Doug, Mozzie, Jeremiah, Snoop Dogg, Rhapsody, Rakai, London J, Conway the Machine, Rick Ross, Damani, Benny the Butcher, Jadakiss, Ernestine Johnson Morrison, which is the wife of the Roller State guy. I think his name is Jay Morrison or something like that. L.I.B.R.A, Eric Bellinger, Killer Mike, John Legend, and 21 Savage. So The project was pretty interesting. On the record Moon Juice, he kind of pays homage to Snoop Dogg and the East Siders by sampling G'd Up, and Snoop is actually on this record as well, so I thought that was pretty cool. He also samples B.I.G.'s Hypnotize on the song Hypno. That's one of the singles off the album. And my personal favorites were Moon Juice, Air and Water Interlude, and Deja's Conclusion. I also like the record he did with his son Damani. From what I heard, it seems as though his rhyme ability has become more polished. So I thought that was pretty cool how they were trading verses back and forth. Like it was like a kind of like a battle, but like a conversation a father having with his son. So I thought that was pretty cool, and him also including his daughter on the project as well as the outro. So overall, I gave the project a 15 out of 20, which comes out to a 75%. So overall, it was a pretty solid project put forth. There's been rumors that Drake's new project is supposed to be coming, so ain't no telling when that's going to be coming, as well as Kendrick. So we'll just have to wait and see with those two new projects. But before I move on from the music, my single for my album Magnum Opus just came out. This is the actual merch. This is the front of the merch, and then you have the back. Got the track list on there, and then the day that it comes out. I also have other merch as well, the face masks, other t-shirts. You can find a link for that in the description. It's going to say merch, and just click on that so you guys can head on over there and pick that up. But I wanted to show the music video for the song Voices. This is the lead single off of my album, so that will be everywhere December 11th. Alright, here we go. So this part right here is just the intro for my backup channel. But this project is very loaded, so once you guys get a chance, when it fully comes out, give it a listen. You can listen to the first singles on my YouTube channel. And as you can see on the cover, basically the album cover has each song has a logo attached to it. So this will be Voices right here, and it's all in order of the playlist as well. So that right there is my tag, the child laughter, which corresponds to the kid in my name. So right here, this is the merch. But yeah, that's pretty much the music video from my single Voices. You can watch the full music video on my YouTube channel right now. There's merch available for the album as well. The link to that is in the description of the YouTube video. If you're listening on Spotify, the website is teespring.com/stores/CaliKidOfficial -store. So if you guys want to go over there and check that out, you can. But moving on from that into some global news, I wanted to get into the SARS movement and what that actually is. So hold on real quick. I specifically wanted to talk about this because I have Nigerian family members. I actually have a cousin that lives over there now. You know, that's you know, this is affecting them. So I actually wanted to get into this and see what this was actually about. So more or less, SARS stands for Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which was created by the former police commissioner in that area, Fulani Kawajaffa, in 1984. And basically it was a unit created to crack down on all of the lawlessness and the crime that was taking place in the country. And as you know, with a lot of organizations, a lot of times they go rogue and things get out of hand, and that's basically what's going on now. How we had the riots and stuff over here due to police brutality is basically what's taking place in Nigeria. People are being shot, protesters are being shot, you know, politicians and stuff coming out lying, saying certain things ain't happening, and now the people are upset and they're out protesting. And you know, this has been going on for a while. Basically what set this off, basically some video was posted on the 3rd of October, and it basically showed a man being killed by a police officer unprovoked. And this pretty much spread around the internet like wildfire, and the citizens in Nigeria saw that, and they wanted their voices to be heard, so they've been out protesting. One of the more serious incidents was at the what is called the Lekki tolls, I believe that's what it's called, where they were boxing in the protesters, not allowing them to leave, and all types of craziness. So this article right here basically talks about it on New York Times. It says tens of thousands of Nigerians have been demonstrating for weeks against a notoriously brutal and corrupt police agency, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, a show of popular anger fueled by long-standing grievances over corruption and lack of accountability. That sounds like the U.S. to a T. That posed the biggest challenge to the government in years. The demonstrations took a deadly turn this week as soldiers fired on crowds of protesters, inflaming Nigerians who are already concerned about police use of violence against the demonstrators. Yep, they've been doing the same thing over here, firing rubber bullets at people, shooting at people on their own property, tackling people, rounding people up and taking them away in vans and shit, all type of stuff. So this is more or less what basically what's going on here is going on over there. And all these types of riots have been going on in other countries as well, like in Hong Kong. These type of things have been going on as well. So right here it says that they were created to curtail robberies, carjackings, and kidnappings. While it was credited with having reduced brazen lawlessness in its initial years, the police unit was later accused of evolving into the same problem it had been designed to stop, a criminal enterprise that act with impunity. Yep. Here in the U.S., the police are backed by unions, which a lot of times allows them to skate away with slaps on the wrist instead of actually being charged and corrected for their actions. In June, Amnesty International issued a report that it said had documented at least 82 cases of torture, ill treatment, and extrajudicial executions by SARS officers between January 2017 and May 2020. The victims, Amnesty said, were predominantly men aged 18 to 25 from low-income backgrounds and vulnerable groups. In other words, the minorities. That would be the equivalent to the minorities in the U.S. The Nigerian government failure to address this problem, Amnesty said, showed an absolute disregard for international human rights laws and standards. So yeah, right here it talks about the video that basically became a catalyst. Let's see. I guess this is some type of video. Oh yeah, of the citizens protesting. They got their fists in the air like this, which is a symbol of black unity and black power, togetherness, taking a knee. So there's no ayah to it. And then it says, has the government done anything to address the anger? President Muhammadu Buhari, seeing that the protests were serious and spreading, agreed on October 12th to disband SARS, calling his decision only the first step in a commitment to extensive police reform. But yet those officers that was disbanded from that unit were put into another unit, so that doesn't really address the problem. It addresses it a little bit, but not a whole lot. So let's see here. But the response did not mollify protesters, especially after Mr. Buhari's subordinate said SARS officers will be redeployed elsewhere in Nigeria's police system. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, the unit that they were in was disbanded, but the people that were actually in the unit that's been doing the wrongdoing basically got a slap on the wrist and was reassigned, which is the equivalent in the U.S. where an officer does something that they're not supposed to and they get assigned to desk duty or some other job or to a whole nother unit. The anger of the protesters seems to have only increased, especially after deadly suppression of a peaceful demonstration in Lagos on Tuesday, compounded by a 24-hour curfew decree, sounds like the U.S., and the deployment of Nigeria's military forces to quell further demonstrations. The powerful role in the protests played by young Nigerians and their use of social media to share grievances could turn the movement into a much broader crisis for the government. Half the country's population is under the age of 19. So yeah, the youth ain't playing nowadays. The protests have started to morph into a much larger critique about Nigeria. Everything from police reform to security to extrajudicial killings. Yeah. What is done in the dark comes to the light, as they say. The movement bears striking similarities to demonstrations in the United States this year amid the outcry for police brutality over the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. But Mr. Devermont said an important difference is that the Nigerian protesters are not demanding a defunding of the police. If anything, he said, they want more resources devoted to helping improve policing in their country. Police brutality isn't the only issue fueling the anti-government sentiment. Nigeria's stagnant economy, which relies heavily on oil exports that were crippled by the coronavirus pandemic, has become a major issue. So yeah, so basically people are struggling to find work, looks like. I saw a video where they found a whole warehouse of COVID related relief food that they've been hiding from the citizens. So it's good that they found that because, you know, the government probably wasn't even going to give it to them since they said that they were hiding it from them. Anger over suspected misuse of government funds during the pandemic has also become an element of popular anger. In one case that received widespread publicity, the Bureau of Public Procurement data showed the health ministry has spent $96,000 on 1,808 ordinary face masks, about $53 each. Yeah, that's a lot. They don't even cost that much. That is a mismanagement. Those face masks don't cost that much. Shoot, even the ones I saw on my website don't even cost half that much. So, yeah, they've been mismanaging funds. Complaints about government corruption are a long-standing grievance. The country is regarded as highly vulnerable to corruption, ranking in the bottom fourth of an annual 180 country best and worst list by Transparency. So yeah, if you guys want to see the full article, it's on New York Times. New York Times / article / SARS Nigeria police .html. So yeah, a lot of BS is going on around the world, and thank God for social media, because none of this would be known to a lot of people without it. So, that's always a good thing. But moving on for that into a bit of entertainment. So this weekend is Hell in a Cell, but before that, Roman Reigns will be addressing his cousin Jey Uso before they do battle about the consequences of their match. It's said to be an I Quit Hell in a Cell match. I believe that this is going to transition into Roman Reigns' storyline continuing with more layers added to it. I'm curious to see what those consequences might be if Jey loses. I'm thinking he's going to force him to stand by his side or something, or maybe force him to... I wouldn't think they would force him to retire, because that's been done so much already. And Roman said it would be something that's never been seen before in the WWE. So that is basically the hook right there for you to watch on Friday. But I wanted to get into the actual Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So far, the only matches that has been set in stone, we get, of course, Roman versus Jey Uso defending his belt again in a Hell in a Cell for the Universal title. It will be an I Quit match. I actually had the chance to go to a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I believe that was like 2015 or something in LA. Then we're going to get Drew McIntyre doing battle with Randy Orton again for the WWE title. Their feud has been very interesting. They last did battle at what was that pay-per-view? I forgot the name of the pay-per-view, but it was an ambulance match, and basically Randy Orton got his just due from attacking the Legend. So a lot of the Legends helped Drew to win this match. WWE could throw a curveball and have Randy win, but I'm thinking Drew is going to retain his belt, but it's going to be a very interesting bout, so to say the least. But moving on from that match into Bayley versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's title. This is going to be pretty interesting. Their rivalry has been brewing for a minute. Bayley betrayed Sasha Banks, and Sasha's going to be looking for a bit of payback. I don't know if they're going to put the belt on Sasha, but they might. So that's this pay-per-view should be pretty interesting. I'm curious to see what other matches they're going to put, but so far these is the only matches that's been set in stone from what I've seen. There's Jeff Hardy versus Elias, but other than that, these are the three matches that I have my eyes on. But that's going to pretty much do it for this week's podcast. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Before you go, be sure to leave a like and a comment below if you're listening on Anchor, Spotify, and everywhere else. I also appreciate you all for tuning in. Be sure to look out for my album Magnum Opus. That will be on all platforms December 11th. As of right now, you can get merch for that on my Teespring website. The link for that, you can find that on my YouTube channel. There's also the first music video off of the album for the song Voices is on my YouTube channel, so you guys can check that out as well. And until the next one, peace.